Alright, do we get a 0-drop artifact? Alright, let's go. Ornithopter, trigger Kappa, attack with Kappa. We win with no board state, pretty much. Alright, good game, opponent, good game. Alright, and welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be playing Weapons Affinity. So this is the version playing weapons manufacturing. Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, create a colorless artifact token named Munitions with, when this token leaves the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to drop weapons manufacturing or Pinnacle Emissary, and then play our huge mass of artifacts that we have. So we have 24 0-drop artifacts in the deck. We're playing 1 Claws of Gix, which we can use to sacrifice a permanent, i.e. our munitions tokens, to gain 1 life. So really the only reason this is in the deck is 1, it's a 0-drop artifact that we can cast for free for things like Pinnacle Emissary and weapons manufacturing, and we can get it off Urza Saga. But the biggest thing is we essentially just pay 1, sacrifice a munitions token, and then we deal 2 damage to any target. This is mostly really just important in matchups like Boros Energy, where it's very mid-rangey. And that's really what it comes down to is this a mid-range matchup where dealing 2 damage to something matters? If yes, we play the Claws of Gix. And in addition to ways to blow up the munitions tokens, we have Engineered Explosives. We just cast Engineered Explosives on 0, and then really late game, whenever we have a ton of munitions tokens piled up, we just use the explosives, sack it, destroy all the 0-drops, including the munitions, and we'll shoot our opponent for however much we need to. In addition, we're playing 4 Memnite, 4 Mishra's Bauble, 4 Mox Opal, 4 Ornithopter, 3 Tormod's Crypt. Another almost functionally 0-drop artifact is Springleaf Drum, because it'll typically be mana neutral. We're playing a ton of creatures. We've got the Memnites, we've got the Ornithopters, we've got Haywire Mite, we've got Pinnacle Emissary, we've got the drones that Pinnacle Emissary makes. Normally, most of the time, we don't have any issues with Springleaf Drum. It's also one of our ways to add green mana for our Haywire Mite. I've been really liking Haywire Mite in the meta currently. There's a lot of artifacts and enchantments going around that we'd like to blow up with the Haywire Mite, and as a one-off to fetch off of Urza Saga, I really don't mind it. Then we have our suite of Urza fetchables. So we have Aether Spellbomb, Haywire Mite, Lavaspur Boots, Pithing Needle, Shadowspear, and on our top end, every Affinity deck's running it 4 Kappa Cannoneers. Improvised, this is normally just a 1-mana 4/4 with Ward 4, and then whenever it or other artifacts enters, you put a counter on it, and it's unblockable. It's just a huge evasive threat that you can play quickly. And normally, as soon as this comes down, it's putting your opponent on a 2-turn clock. Our lands, we're only playing 17 lands since we have the Mox Opals and Springleaf Drums. And even then, we kind of want to cycle our lands or use them for other things. So Fiery Islet adds both of our colors, and we're also able to sack it to draw a card in the late game. We're playing 1 Island, 1 Otawara, 4 Spirebluff Canal, 1 Steam Vents, 4 Urza Saga, and 3 Sink into Stupors. For the sideboard, we've got 3 Consign Memories for mostly the Tron matchups. We've got 4 Metallic Rebuke. This is mostly used and brought in almost every single matchup to counter things like Wrath of the Skies or Meltdown. There's a lot of different things that Metallic Rebuke is wanting to counter in the format, where people are bringing in to stop us. In a similar vein, we're playing 2 Galvanic Blast. This is to hit mostly Clarion Conqueror and Karn, so that way our activated abilities aren't shut off on our artifacts, because we do need our Mox Opals and Springleaf Drums pretty badly. And we also like to activate some of our other stuff like EE, Mishra's Bauble, Tormod's Crypt. This just makes sure we can continue activating them. Whipflare is for the small creature decks, things like Energy or Prowess. We have 1 Vandal Blast to destroy problematic artifacts, so this deck folds pretty hard to Chalice of the Void and Vexing Bauble. I could see even cutting some of the Consigned Memories to bring in more Vandal Blasts. And it's also good because we can overload it in the mirror and actually blow up our opponent's Kappa Cannoneers. It's one of our only ways to deal with Kappa Cannoneer. We're playing 2 Blood Moons for things like Titan and Tron, one Ashiok for Titan, and one Voidmere for the... mostly for the colorless Tron, or the Eldrazi Tron variants that aren't really running many colors. There's one version of the deck that they basically just run a single basic swamp. If they don't have that basic swamp, Voidmere just locks them out of the game. Alright, well let's see how the deck does. Let's hop into some games. Alright, we are back on the play here. We are going to keep our 7 as we have a turn 2 Kappa Cannoneer. Let's run with that. Opponent keeps their 7 as well. Let's just play out Fiery Islet Pass. We see Fit Shock Preordained, so it's probably Izzet Prowess, I imagine. Scry 1 top, 1 bottom. Ooh, and we have another Kappa Cannoneer to follow up with the following turn. Alright, and we got a turn 2 Kappa Cannoneer onto the opponent. Yeah, an opponent plots a Slick Shot Show Off, so it's 100% Prowess here. And let's play out Urza Saga. Tap blue, something, 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 something. And here, I'm going to assume that their Delirium won't matter next turn. I'm just going to try to save us a life here. And we'll attack for 6 and get the opponent. On to them. And if they can't kill us this turn, we have guaranteed game next turn. We've got a blocker on the ground. Yeah, and that's just one of those more ideal situations for us, so let's get into the sideboard plan. For the sideboard, we'll cut part of the weapons manufacturing plan and the Pithing Needle for 2 Galvanic Blasts, a Whipflare, and a Metallic Rebuke. We're on the draw. We're going to keep our 7 here. We're going to have quite a few things to make with the Pinnacle Emissary, and we'll have an Urza Saga to follow up with relatively soon after. So yeah, let's just go for that. And weirdly enough, we drew a bunch of opals, so none of the other artifacts will really be sticking around. We're really just doing this to get the drone tokens here. And who knows, if we can make enough of them, we can just block the DRC. Keep this Mox Opal, I guess. Cast another Mox Opal. Again, just keep this one and pass it on to the opponent. Opponent attacks for 1 here. Fetches, and they're playing something post-combat. They just plot a Slick Shot Show Off, okay. So here we go for Urza Saga. Let's attack with 3 of our drones here. I think I want to leave back something to just chump block the Slick Shot Show Off. And onto the opponent. Okay, we see a Corey Steelcutter from the opponent. Oh, and here we can actually Otawara and bounce something back to hand if we want. So let's block here. See if the opponent has anything. They choose not to do anything, so let's... Is there any way this could hurt us? Nah, we're just gonna save life here. Alright, so we'll bounce the token to functionally just pay for kill token. We block there. And we're only down to 18 here. We found our 4th opal. Here we'll just save the drone token. Here, because we're going to be able to beat down with a pretty sizable construct, I don't think we really need to attack with the drones here, so we'll just leave them back as blockers. Or if we wanted to, we could go ahead and cast the Pinnacle Emissary. Maybe we just do that. We cast Pinnacle Emissary, cast other Mox Opal, keep that up. Yeah, let's just go for that route. And red. And then Mox Opal. And actually, if they consign to memory this, that's going to be brutal for us. Okay, they just Lightning Bolt the Pinnacle Emissary. We're fine with them doing that during our turn. And it really doesn't change much for us at all. Okay, we'll just pass it to our opponent after that. Oh, we see Expressive Iteration. Alright, they play land, fetch. They've still only got 3 types in graveyard right now. I imagine they're going to have another spell and be able to do something with the Corey Steelcutter here. Opponent's choosing not to do anything. Do we know what they exiled? It's just the land, okay. So they mutagenic growth onto the DRC. Just fine with us, we'll just chump block. Assuming they get the Delirium up here. And then here, I'm suspicious that the opponent has a Meltdown, and they're waiting for us to go ahead and do something with our... Go ahead and make our construct before they Meltdown. So I'm not going to cry about the damage here on the Monk token. So here, we're just going to block both of these, absorb as much damage as we can. Okay, we see a mutagenic growth from the opponent on their Monk token. So if we would have made a construct and blocked, the Monk token would be killing our token anyways. Oh, and they have a Violent Urge, okay. So how much damage are we taking here then? I think we're taking 14? Yeah, so we take a fur 14 here. Oh, the Lava Dart. How many Lava Darts do they have in grave? I think they just surveilled that Lava Dart to the grave. So... that's gonna get us down to 1 here. Oh, and the opponent concedes it there. Alright, let's go. Good games, opponent, good game. Okay, we're back for the next match. This hand's just a little risky, but we do have a weapons manufacturing with that engineered explosive, so we'll keep. And see what the opponent's got. Okay, we just see a Wooded Foothills from our opponent. We're just gonna Spirebluff Canal and hold off for a turn for the weapons manufacturing. Opponent just fetches, surveils, and surveils a land into the graveyard, Thundering Falls and Mountain, and they plot a Slick Shot show-off. Alright, so we will Fiery Islet. Let's fire off a weapons manufacturing. Mishra's Bauble. Memnite. Tormod's Crypt. Let's go ahead and EE on 0. And then we'll Mishra's Bauble the opponent. Just a Steam Vent's coming from them, and we'll say go. We draw Mox Opal off of the Mishra's Bauble. And then we see an Expressive Iteration from the opponent. So, we know we still have the Steam Vents. Opponent exiles a Preordained, they shock in that Steam Vents. Opponent scries 2 to the top with the Preordains, that's a little scary. Opponent casts Mishra's Bauble, targets us, sees what we draw next, and they're going to get to attack for 7 here. Down to 12. Alright, so here we'll play out Springleaf Drum. Get more munitions going. Mishra's Bauble, more munitions going. Mox Opal is so close to getting us there. Because we'd have 7, 14, we attack for 1. Yeah, let's just go ahead and play out the Mox Opal. Trigger again. And then... yeah, we wouldn't have enough to sack the Fiery Islet, get another 0-drop, and then also do the EE Springleaf Drum thing. So let's Mishra's Bauble the opponent, see what they've got going on. Violent Urge, that's no muy bueno. We'll attack for 1 here. So odds are during our turn, or during the opponent's turn, we're just going to probably just go ahead and sack the EE. We do see an Aether Spellbomb on our end, which is neat. So maybe we just see if the opponent can even deal enough damage here, because if not, we can 100% go for the win next turn by casting Aether Spellbomb and then just blow up all the munitions tokens, point them toward face. So we cast the Pinnacle Emissary, we make a drone token, we get the Aether Spellbomb. We can hold Spellbomb up here, and we've got a couple munitions tokens. Let's just pass it back to the opponent for now. Okay, opponent gets an Expressive Iteration, pretty good for them. It's one of the best cards you can see when you're in top deck mode. Okay, they exile an Arid Mesa. And then looks like they're just passing back to us. I really don't want to take damage off these Fiery Islets, so we'll just take it back to us. Okay, we get a Mox Opal. Let's just hardcast this. We're going to have to take 1 here. So we Pinnacle Emissary. We Mox Opal, and we can continue holding up the Aether Spellbomb here with the Mox Opal. And then, yeah, just ship it to the opponent. Opponent just grabs Steam Vents. They play another land, not great for the opponent. Here we are going to draw with the Fiery Islet, see if we can find us some more action. Okay, we get an Otawara. Let's play the Memnite. Let's go ahead and draw with the Fiery Islet. Okay, we find a Steam Vents. We'll just play the Steam Vents tapped. And I feel relatively safe just going for some attacks here. We've got a blocker in the air, blocker on the ground, and the Aether Spellbomb. So I get the opponent down to 4 here. DRC from the opponent. And opponent just passes it back to us. So what we can do is we can bounce this here and then just try to attack for game. And then they'd have to be able to kill at least 2 of our creatures. Okay, so we see Lava Dart, so they will be able to kill at least 2 of our creatures. They put a Monastery Swiftspear into the graveyard. Oh, 2 Lava Darts. Or is this one flashed back? Okay, they're going for face. Okay, that was 2 separate Lava Darts. And then they're flashing back. Yeah, if they have another Lava Dart or... Oh, I see what they're doing. They're trying to surveil a Lava Dart into the graveyard right now by having a bunch of casts. With the DRC on the stack. I don't think they found it, though. Okay, so we're down to 1. And let's just attack. And hope that the opponent doesn't have like a random removal spell here. Okay, so we get there. Alright, let's see what we've got in the sideboard. Alright, we're gonna do our traditional plan against them here, cutting 2 weapons manufacturing, a Claws of Gix, and Pithing Needle, bringing in the 2 Galvanic Blast, Whipflare, and Metallic Rebuke. Hear me out. I think we keep. We get to go Urza Saga turn 1 to try to get out a Shadowspear as quickly as possible, and we should be able to ramp out a pretty fast Kappa Cannoneer on turn 2 if they don't have Meltdown in their opening. So, opponent's down to 6. They shock in Steam Vents, cast DRC. Alright. Or we could just Galv Blast on the DRC here. I think I'm just not that worried about it at the current moment. So let's just make sure we can get out our Kappa Cannoneer next turn. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got to use this for blue. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, we can't sacrifice the Mishra's Bauble. We want the guaranteed turn 2 Kappa Cannoneer. But if they have removal, then we'll just go ahead and sack the Mishra's Bauble to try to find another land to start making at least construct tokens. Opponent goes for a Thundering Falls here. Surveils an Expressive Iteration of Grave. Goes for a Monastery Swiftspear, so we're probably relatively safe here. No attacks from the opponent. Comes back to us. We find a Springleaf Drum. So that is mana neutral, so we should be able to Springleaf Drum. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, let's just do that. Blue. And there's a turn 2 Kappa. We'll pass it back to the opponent with that. And then during our turn, we could just fetch Shadowspear off the Urza Saga, equip it to the Kappa Cannoneer. And then we've even got a Galv Blast held up to be able to have some creature removal. We see an Expressive Iteration from the opponent. They surveil an Unholy Heat into the graveyard. They play Mountain off the Expressive Iteration, Monastery Swiftspear from hand, and no attacks. So here we'll just float colorless. We'll grab the Shadowspear, trigger Kappa. We'll go ahead and equip the Kappa using the colorless and anything else here, really. We could go ahead and use the Aether, or cast the Aether Spellbomb if we wanted. I think I'm just happier holding up Galv Blast here. And here with as much removal as we have, Let's see what they draw next turn. So let's just Mishra's Bauble them. They're drawing another creature. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be able to do lethal next turn, but just in case, we'll hold back the Galvanic Blast. They'd have to pull out 27 damage out of nowhere. So we'll just attack with the Kappa. And draw another Springleaf Drum. Alright, we see the DRC. And a Meltdown for X equals 1. So we'll let the opponent have this little win for themselves. We're going to Galv Blast probably one of the DRCs. But we'll wait until they make their surveil decisions. This is functionally getting rid of our mana too, which is a little scary. Alright, let's just go ahead and make a red, and we will Galv Blast. Actually, hear me out. I think we just target them here, because then any 0-drop artifacts means we just won next turn. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, do we get a 0-drop artifact? Alright, let's go! Ornithopter, trigger Kappa, attack with Kappa. We win with no board state, pretty much. Alright, good game, opponent, good game. Alright, we're back with the next matchup, and... ooh, boy, it's close. It's really close and tempting to keep this no-lander. You know what, we'll do it for the content. Keep it for the content. Alright, we just see Arid Mesa from the opponent. There we go, Fiery Islet. Let's just fire it off, see what we can make happen here. Please no subtlety? I guess if they subtlety, we just put on top and we're fine to just do it again next turn. Okay, Mox Opal. Another Pinnacle Emissary. Memnite. EE on 0. And pass it to the opponent. Casual turn 1 Affinity board. Okay, opponent just grabs Thundering Falls. Surveils a land into the graveyard. The Bloodstained Mire is making me think this is somehow Prowess again. Oh my goodness, we'll just keep facing Prowess. Alright, I guess let's keep eating the Prowess decks. So they cast Mishra's Bauble, they get their whole Quarry Steel Cutter thing. And we just get a turn 2 Kappa Cannoneer here. Okay, there's a Spirebluff Canal as well. So let's just run out the Kappa Cannoneer. And then Pithing Needle doesn't exactly have anything great to name here, but maybe we can throw them off mana by naming... which fetch land do y'all think we name? Or do we name Mishra's Bauble? Mishra's Bauble hurts us. Let's name Wooded Foothills here. Then we'll attack the opponent for 3. Because we're just racing them. Alright, and on to the opponent. Okay, the Expressive Iteration. Okay, they just put a Lightning Bolt into exile. And so they have Mountain plus Lightning Bolt. They'll probably Lightning Bolt... Do they Lightning Bolt us or a creature? So we're representing 6, 12, 13 here. They know we can at least get one more counter off of a Pinnacle Emissary cast from exile. Okay, they do target us. So we're down to 14. They don't move the equipment over. And then here, this is just reading Mutagenic Growth to me. And I don't want to just sacrifice my Kappa for that, so we'll just leave it be and hope that the opponent isn't just pulling a fast one on us. Okay, we get another Kappa. Yeah, let's just Kappa Cannoneer. Say okay. So we'll attack for 7. Leave back a couple of these to block with. Let's leave back 3 of them because that plays around like Slick Shot plus Lava Dart, I guess. And then next turn we get it as long as they don't get it here. Let's find out. Okay, another Quarry Steelcutter. Well, it plays a Fiery Islet. Sacks Fiery Islet to draw. You can imagine what the opponent could have here to win. Except just like a handful of Mutagenic Growths, maybe? Okay, there's Mutagenic Growth number 1. Let's see how many they have. We probably should have held back a Memnite to block as well. Just in case. Well, I guess right now the maximum number of extra Mutagenic Growths they could have is only 1. Are they going to be able to get around us this turn? Okay, it's going to be wild if they do have another Mutagenic here. So we block here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we should just get there on our turn, right? What is this new crazy tech Prowess is playing that they can win right here? Okay, we just see an EE on 0. We'll just cast it. And then the Kappa Cannoneer alone should be enough. Okay, yeah, while declaring attackers, opponent concedes it there. Let's go to the sideboard. For the sideboard, we're just going to keep doing the same thing we've been doing against Prowess, bringing in 2 Galvanic Blast, a Whipflare, and a Metallic Rebuke, cutting 2 weapons manufacturing, a Claws of Gix, and a Pithing Needle. Okay, we're back on the draw. We have a lot of good things we want here. If we are able to get a land, we just get to go Pinnacle Emissary, and then Tormod's Crypt, Memnite. We get to eventually have Galvanic Blast and Metallic Rebuke as interaction. We have Kappa Cannoneer. But we only have 13 draws here out of 53. We're just going to take it safe and mulligan here. And happy we took the mulligan, because this is a pretty good hand. We'll chuck the... Chuck the Memnite, or the Engineered Explosive. So Memnite can block. We get to redraw with the Mishra's Baubles. We have these. Yeah, because we probably won't be casting the Engineered Explosives on 1. We'll put the EE back, because at least Memnite can block. Yeah, let's keep like that. Opponent just plays land go. We'll just try going for it. Worst case scenario, we've got the Urza Saga plan going. Alright, and now on to the opponent. Okay, opponent fetches for a mountain here. And lava darts the Memnite. This makes me think that they may not have Meltdown here. So let's see what they're drawing for turn. Lightning Bolt. I don't think we're too scared of Lightning Bolt. Opponent plays Steam Vents. Casts a Quarry Steel Cutter here, which explains why they played the Lava Dart turn 1, because now they get to flashback Lava Dart and make a guy if they want. Which it does put them down a land. Seems like a tough call for the opponent. Okay, they're just going to pass it to us. I guess in their end step, we'll go ahead and use this other Mishra's Bauble. See if we can find some more action. They're drawing DRC next turn. So we're going to get a lot of draws here. So we'll go Urza Saga here. And then here we have some options. So we could either hardcast the Pinnacle Emissary from exile. Actually, I think that's exactly what we just go for here. We'll just hardcast the Pinnacle Emissary from exile. This means if they do try to Wrath us, we have an out at least. Or not Wrath, but Meltdown, because they're not going to be able to Meltdown for enough. And we could save the Pinnacle Emissary for next turn, warp it in, do the Memnite, and then get 2 triggers, or we could just go for it here. Issue is, we know they have Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt's just going to target the Pinnacle Emissary anyways. Let's just get in our value while we can. So swing with the drones, and pass it back to the opponent. So I imagine we'll probably just see the DRC plus Lightning Bolt on Pinnacle Emissary, probably. And then trigger the Quarry Steel Cutter. Let's see if that's the route the opponent takes. Yeah, they lead off on the DRC. They Lightning Bolt the Pinnacle Emissary, trigger Quarry Steel Cutter, okay. Yeah, we knew what they were going for. Opponent surveils a land into the graveyard. Pinnacle Emissary dies. We'll just take whatever damage they throw at us from the monk token here. And they just pass it back to us. Alright. So we find Springleaf Drum here, so let's play Fiery Islet, and then if we want to, we could just Pinnacle Emissary plus Springleaf Drum. And truthfully, so we'll lose a life doing that plan. But we do get to make a drone token, and we have the Springleaf Drum to make more action next turn. With Springleaf Drum next turn, we could make Construct next turn as well as having enough mana to go ahead and Shadowspear. So yeah, let's go with this plan here. So we will warp the Pinnacle Emissary. We'll play out the Springleaf Drum. If the opponent has Force Negation, be wild. Alright, and then we can move to attacks. And we'll leave back a couple of drones here just as blockers. Alright, so opponent's down to 12. Pinnacle Emissary warps away. Opponent casts another Quarry Steel Cutter here. Alright, opponent surveils land into the graveyard. They have a Mishra's Bauble, so that's going to trigger both of the Quarry Steel Cutters. Surveil Unholy Heat in the Grave. They've got a pretty wide board here. And they know what we're going to draw next turn now. So we could block Memnite onto the Monk token and absorb whatever damage the non-trampling Monk will have. They still don't have Surveil. Or they still don't have a Delirium up, so they can't quite DRC yet. I think opponent's thinking about whether to flash back this Lava Dart or not. Opponent chooses not to flash back the Lava Dart yet. Oh, and they just choose not to attack at all. Alright, so we'll go ahead and make Construct here. Okay, we have a pretty sizable beast here. And then we need to not draw the Shadowspear, because we want to grab it off of Urza Saga. Okay, we draw Galvanic Blast for turn. We are just going to go ahead and make Construct. Yeah, do just get to go for Construct. And then we'll grab Shadowspear. We'll equip Shadowspear to the Construct. White, blue. Oh, ooh, I almost tapped the Construct here. Oh, let me cancel. I just want to make sure I don't mess this up. So let's just float the mana first. Tapping a drone. And then equip to the one that came in last turn. And then here, this should hopefully be enough to get through. So 12. Just attack all but one in the air. And then they're going to have to block with a portion of their creatures now. You know what? If we didn't make the other Construct, we actually would have had enough mana just hold up Galv Blast, and then we probably would have been able to blast them anyways, and they wouldn't have been expecting to have to try to keep at 5 or more life. But worst case scenario, we're going to 28 here. Opponent's having to sack part of their board. Okay, they go ahead and sacrifice Mountain. They're going to try to grow their Monk tokens to absorb some more of the damage here. It also gets one of the drones out of the way for them. They still don't have Delirium up. They're surveilling multiple lands into the graveyard. So it's down to an 11-11, so I guess... Let's see here. Yeah, they have to block at least one. And they're just going to block a couple of them here. So 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, even if they blocked everything, they can't kill the Construct. Not that it's going to help them a lot anyways. Opponent blocks with 3 tokens. We'll get them all. We go up to 27. They're at 7. All they've got is 2 Quarry Steel Cutters on field, a DRC, and 4 cards in hand. We've got back 2 blockers on the ground, a blocker in the air. And opponent concedes it there. Good games, opponent. We're back for the next match. We're going to keep it for the memes. We're playing against some kind of control variant because I see Kahira here, probably Azorius control. If we can find another blue-red source relatively close to the top, we might just be able to pop off. Let's just keep it and run it. Opponent just leads off Meticulous Archive. Surveils a Solitude. We are going to Spirebluff Canal here. And if we Pinnacle... Honestly, we could be just setting up for a turn 2 here. Or a turn 2 Kappa Cannoneer. And if opponent has Solitude here, they're going to be mad next turn when we just try to do it again. Okay, opponent does have Solitude for the Pinnacle Emissary. They're scared. They're frightened. What did they pitch? They got rid of a prismatic ending of all things too. Wow. Okay, yeah, no, that's it for that. On to you, opponent. So that's 2 Solitudes out the way. And opponent's just gonna say, yeah, all you, Tyler. Now the question is, do we do it again? We're probably gonna run into Counterspell here, but let's just go for it since we don't have the second land. And if we find second land next turn, then we can just weapons manufacturing and try it all again. Oh, opponent casts Olm's Chant. Okay, that works too. So now we can't attack, we can't cast anything else, so yeah, our Pinnacle Emissary is pretty much just wasted. Smart play by the opponent. And then they go for plains. And they just put Kahira in hand. Land? Land. So Spirebluff Canal. Weapons manufacturing. So just in case they have prismatic ending for the weapons manufacturing, let's go ahead and run out what we can here. So Tormod's Crypt. The engineered explosives. We'll just attack for 2 here and say go to the opponent. Okay, opponent just casts a Kahira here, which I'm really not that frightened of. So I think I'm just wanting to go Kappa Cannoneer plus Haywire Mite here. So let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we stick the Kappa Cannoneer. And then we cast a Haywire Mite. The Kappa continues to grow, and we'll attack the opponent for 1 and say go. And depending on how things go next turn, we might just be able to attack for 8, use engineered explosives, blow it up, and then attack the opponent or hit the opponent for another 8. So opponent's gonna need, I think, Supreme Verdict here. I think opponent may have just tried to go for Wrath and then realized we had a ton of munitions. Oh, an opponent just concedes it there. Alright, let's see what we've got in the sideboard. Alright, here we're going to bring in 4 Metallic Rebukes and 2 Blood Moons to play around the opponent's Wrath of the Skies, and we're going to cut an Aether Spellbomb, a Shadowspear, 3 Tormod's Crypts, and an Engineered Explosives. Let's head back into the games. This hand is a little questionable. We don't have a lot of action here, but we could Mishra's Bauble into something. But just because we don't have any action, I think I'm going to mulligan it. This one's a bit better because we can go Pinnacle Emissary, Mox Opal, Springleaf Drum, Memnite. And then we can hold up Metallic Rebuke for a later turn. So I think we probably just put the weapons manufacturing back here. Alright, we both take the mulligan down to 6. Let's see what the opponent has. So let's see if we can do the thing. Okay, we do get to do the thing. We are pretty weak into a... Actually, we're not even weak into a metallic, or into a, whatchamacallit, as long as we don't play the Haywire Mite. So we'll just say go to the opponent, and then we get to hold up Metallic Rebuke. Opponent plays land and passes it back to us. So we get another Springleaf Drum here. Again, I'm mostly just wanting to make sure that we can keep up enough mana for the Metallic Rebuke, so let's cast a Springleaf Drum. We can cast the Haywire Mite. Our life total doesn't really matter in this matchup. take the damage, and then bam, 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 bam. That keeps up Metallic Rebuke. So we'll attack the opponent for 3 here. And then just pass it back to them. They'll fetch. I do feel like we're broadcasting the Metallic Rebuke since we didn't attack with the Memnite. But opponent just surveils a Narset into the grave. They go ahead and fetch, and let's see what they've got. This feels like a Wrath of the Skies. It's a Narset. So I think I'm still inclined to counter the Narset here because Narset will probably find them the answer that they need. Since they get to dig pretty deep with it. They only get to dig once because we could attack it, but I just don't want to risk it at all. Because if they already had the Wrath, I feel like they would have went for it. Not unless they are just playing permission spells. If they are, opponent's playing it smart. And opponent allows it, passes it back to us. We find an Urza Saga, which is actually pretty nice here. So let's run out Urza Saga. We'll attack out. And then we'll just go ahead and cast this from exile. And onto the opponent. Oh, they shock in Hollowed Fountain. I think this means Supreme Verdict here, probably. Yeah, it's Supreme Verdict, but we did find the Urza Saga, so we can rebuild here. There's that, and then we'll just pass it to the opponent. Oh, hopefully they don't have a Wrath of the Skies follow-up after that. Oh man, they have the Wrath of the Skies to follow up. So I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we make the construct, anything changes here, so it's really just, do we want to sack the Fiery Islet to try to find something? And I don't think there's anything reasonable that we can find here. So, yeah. I mean, we tried to play around it the best we could. There's the Metallic Rebuke that we needed. And opponent's pretty free to do whatever they want to for a little while here. Because after we get wiped like that, we have a lot of building up to do. Oh, they have Isochron Scepter plus no more lives, so they're going to be able to counter pretty much whatever we play anyways. So we get a Kappa kind of late. Yeah, we're just going to pass it back and forth with the opponent for a while. I'm just going to cut until something interesting happens. Alright, opponent's just gonna pass it to us. Let's draw here. Ooh, Sink into Stupor's actually super nice here. So... there's not a ton we can do to leave up. Actually, I think we can just go for it, right? Hold on. So we go Springleaf Drum, tap this for... okay, we have to play the Mishra's Bauble first. But we can cast another Kappa Cannoneer while holding up a Sink into Stupor. Opponent casts a Force of Negation on a Mishra's Bauble. So now I have to decide whether I would prefer go for Kappa Cannoneer or hold up the Sink into Stupor. So I tap blue, 1/1/1/1. Yeah, no, here I think we just attack with the Kappa Cannoneer and keep up the Sink into Stupor. Alright, got the opponent down to 13. We're holding up a what's functionally a better counter spell here. Oh, an opponent just passes it back to us again. Oh, and we see Solitude here. So... we could theoretically push that back to hand. Oh, and they do it exiling a Wrath of the Skies. Okay, there's like no other white card they would exile from their hand if they had it. Do we just Sink into Stupor the Solitude here? And then they would have to pitch another white card. Or do we just say Solitude's fine and then just cast out another Kappa Cannoneer? It's actually a pretty tough call here. Because they have another white card in hand, then blue, blue, blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just realized we didn't have to tap the Springleaf Drum last turn, so we could just... no, we do have to tap the Springleaf Drum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we hold it up. Oh, tough call, tough call. Let's just Sink into Stupor. Something tells me the opponent doesn't have any other action going for them. Actually, no, because we Sink into Stupor. Honestly, yeah, let's just Sink into Stupor. If we can attack in this turn, then eventually we can just blow up with all the munitions. So let's sink this. Let's see if they have another white card in hand. And I feel almost doubtful that they've got another white card in hand, because if they do, I don't see why they wouldn't have pitched that over Wrath. Okay, do they try to go for it again? Okay, they just try to go for it again. Okay. It happens this time. They pay the reward 4. Play Spirebluff Canal, and we'll just... go for another one. Alright, and on to the opponent. Sorry, that was like one of those moments where you really just kind of have to think. What did they pitch, by the way? Another Solitude, okay. So, do they have the Supreme Verdict here? No, they had Kahira to hand. On to us. EE. Springleaf Drum. We'll just play the Springleaf Drum. Grow the Kappa Cannoneer. And then we get to attack with Kappa. On to the opponent. Okay, the opponent found Supreme Verdict off top, which is unfortunate for us. So now we have to try to find some kind of action again. So we just passed it to the opponent here. We could hold up Metallic Rebuke. Not sure how much it's going to matter, because they're probably just going to have enough mana to pay for the Metallic Rebuke. Anyways. So here's Kahira. That's fine. And we knew the opponent top decked the Supreme Verdict there, because otherwise they would have just cast it earlier. So here, let's just go for another Kappa Cannoneer. And if they try to counter, we just have Metallic Rebuke anyways. So there's that. We'll pass it back to the opponent now. They're going to need another Supreme Verdict, or... They're going to need a handful of things to be able to even deal with this Kappa here. Okay, opponent casts Narset. We'll just counter whatever they cast off of the Narset, I guess. And hopefully it doesn't just turn out to be... Oh! They not down-ticking with the Narset? Okay, there they go. Okay, let's see what they find here. And Wrath of the Skies is basically a dead card for them, because Munitions is just always going to be a problem for them now. They reveal it to Fairy. They're going to try to cast the Teferi here. We're just going to counter the Teferi. Teferi countered. Can we find an artifact? There's an artifact. Make the Kappa unblockable. And opponent concedes it to us there. Good game, opponent. Good game. Alright, and we are back for round 5. Going for the 5-0. We're going to keep our opening 7. We're on the play here. And we are set up to go for a turn 2 Kappa Cannoneer. Opponent also keeps their 7. We're just going to turn 1 Fiery Islet, Haywire Mite, and pass it on. We see a Wooded Foothills from the opponent, grabbing Steenbin's DRC, and we are playing against Izzet Prowess yet again. Okay. Alright, so we'll just play the Urza Saga, and we'll play out our entire hand here. And turn 2 Kappa Cannoneer. On to the opponent. And then, not next turn, but the turn after, we get to actually equip Shadowspear, so they need to kill us pretty quick. Looks like they're going to try to. Surveil land into the graveyard, Quarry Steelcutter. I imagine they have something here. Yeah, Mutagenic Growth. And they surveil another land to the graveyard. Oh, this is wild stuff for them to be attacking. It means that they almost undoubtedly have Haywire Mite, right? Or that they have another Mutagenic Growth. Should we risk it? So if we block Kappa Cannoneer on the DRC, they can't set up Delirium. We'd be getting rid of their DRC and their Mutagenic Growth in hand in order to kill the DRC. Then they've got less action with the Monk token. In the next turn, we can make a Construct. And it's just like a if they have it. They might be doing a pretty good bluff here. So we take 5 this turn. They get 1 more attack. We're going to have to take 3 for the Sink into Stupor. Or I guess we could just not make the Construct token. Okay, thinking it through. Give me a moment. Nah, we're going to say that they're bluffing. We're going to take the block on the DRC here. Okay, they were not bluffing. They do have the Mutagenic Growth. Okay. Yeah, so we're just taking some extra damage for nothing. Just girly things. There goes our Kappa Cannoneer. We're actually taking a considerable amount of damage from our lands here, unfortunately. Opponent's still got 3 cards in hand. They go back up to 4. We do have a Haywire Mite to just sack at any point, which will allow us to gain 2 life. Okay, here we can cast the Mox Opal. Let's look at what we'll actually have going on, or maybe not, because we want the construct to be as big as possible to be able to block successfully. Oh, actually, we do have enough to just be able to exile the Quarry Steelcutter here now. Maybe we just take the 3 off Sink into Stupor, make the token, exile the Quarry Steelcutter. Yeah, let's go for that line. So, play, take 3. Let's actually... Oh, we undo that? One moment. Okay, sorry, I had to figure out how to undo the mana, because we should attack with the Haywire Mite first. So let's do that. And then now we can exile this with green mana. We'll go back up to 14, and then next turn we get to start beating in with a large construct. And right now it's only going to be a 5/5, but next turn we can get it larger. And now we see what the opponent's got. Oh, opponent just concedes it to us. Okay, we'll take it. And let's get into the sideboarding. Alright, same game plan that we've been doing that's been working for us, cutting 2 weapons manufacturing, the Claws of Gix and Pithing Needle for 2 Galvanic Blasts, a Whipflare and a Metallic Rebuke. Let's run it back. This hand looks suspect, but I think it actually might be okay. We don't have that early of a Kappa Cannoneer. We have Tormod's Crypt to throw off their Delirium. We have Aether Spellbomb to return creature to hand. We've got Engineered Explosives to blow up either 0 or 1 drops, or if we really need to get to it, 2 drops. I think we have a lot of good top decks on top, so we'll just keep this in, pass it to the opponent. I'm a little concerned that the Fiery Islet's probably going to be doing us a good bit of damage this match. And opponent just goes Wooded Foothill, Shock Steam Vents, and DRC. Classic. Okay, we find the Spirebluff Canal. That actually helps us a bit, so we'll just... So if we Aether Spellbomb this turn, next turn we play land, boom, boom. This is 5, so if we draw a 0-drop artifact next turn, we do just get to cast a Kappa Cannoneer. So we'll go ahead and run the Aether Spellbomb out, and then just say, go to the opponent. We don't want to run out the Tormod's Crypts and EE yet, just in case they have Meltdown. And even though they theoretically could set up Delirium this turn, I think it's pretty unlikely. Okay, they're just attacking for 2 here. Okay, there's our 0-drop artifact, so let's run out Fiery Islet. Let's run out Tormod's Crypt. Yeah, I think I just want the quick Kappa Cannoneer here. Actually, we can go ahead and run out the Springleaf Drum too if we want. And Kappa Cannoneer. Alright, so we have once again turn 2'd Kappa'd. I'm more inclined to block with this Kappa Cannoneer as we have a backup Kappa Cannoneer in hand. They would have to do enough to pump their creatures large enough and cast a Meltdown. Okay, and we just see a Quarry Steelcutter. Opponent puts Lightning Bolt to graveyard with the DRC. And there's the Mishra's Bauble. Okay, they don't quite have Delirium yet. Okay, and they pass it through combat. Let's go. Alright, and we find another Springleaf Drum. Let's... Do we have to play it before? Let me think here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we leave one up, so... we can cast using these 6. Then play the Springleaf Drum afterwards to pump this Kappa Cannoneer. And then we can use Springleaf Drum plus Kappa Cannoneer to use Aether Spellbomb at some point. Or we could just try to keep up the Tormod's Crypt as well. So we play out Springleaf Drum first, and we tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we keep up the Tormod's Crypt, so it's just a question of whether we want to keep up Aether Spellbomb or Tormod's Crypt. I think I'm more okay keeping up Tormod's Crypt here, so let's play out the Springleaf Drum. Oh, whoops. Trigger Kappa Cannoneer. Play Kappa Cannoneer. Tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. Second Kappa. So we have a decent-sized blocker, as well as capability of getting rid of their Delirium. And we're chilling. Also, if we want to next turn, we could also just use the EE to pop their Monk token. Or however many Monk tokens we're going to have to worry about here. Opponent's forced to attack with the DRC here. We could go ahead and try to disrupt their Delirium in graveyard. They could get an artifact back pretty quick. Honestly, it's what we're using the Tormod's Crypt for. Let's go ahead and pop the Tormod's Crypt, target the opponent. An opponent casts Lightning Bolt. They're going to try to get back their Delirium. So 2 types engrave. Oh, and they just conceded there. All right, we get the 5-0. All right, everybody, we will be back in just one moment with the wrap-up. All right, and we are back, everybody. We got our first 5-0 on the channel. All in all, Affinity continuing to do really well. It's my favorite deck. This is just another iteration of it. I will say, even though it did do quite a bit of work for us in some of the matchups, mostly looking at the control matchup that we played, the weapons manufacturing, I did some stuff, but not really enough in most of the cases. I just feel like the card's just a little too slow for Affinity, because we're waiting to play it till turn 2. We need to have our red mana, which we really just have Fiery Islet, Spirebluff Canal, and Steam Vents to play it without having to do like Springleaf Drums and Mox Opals. And we're really not wanting the Springleaf Drum or Mox Opal, because then it's lowering the number of munitions tokens that we're making with weapons manufacturing. Maybe we cut Spirit, Sink into Stupor, and Otawara for some more red lands to better support the weapons manufacturing. But really, it didn't blow me away. And the only time I think things like Claws of Gix is going to be important with weapons manufacturing is in those mid-range matchups where dealing 2 damage to creatures matters. And besides energy, there's really not enough of them. We played against Prowess a lot in this league. I think we played it 4 out of our 5 matches. And weapons manufacturing and Claws of Gix came out in pretty much every single one. It's great to deal 2 damage to them, but it's dealing it too slowly. Like, if we weapons manufacturing turn 2, on turn 3 we might kill some creatures, and by then we're either probably dead or getting darn close to it. But all in all, deck performed really well. I mean, 5-0, you're not going to complain about a 5-0. Well, that's going to be it for the wrap up. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, comment what deck you want to see me play next, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace out.